Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
A lot of times they just need that nudging. I would say if you're asking over text or over email and you've already done it multiple times, think that doing it in the field is going to be more advantageous.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by ZenMade. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Pipkin from Serene Clean. And today's video is a nice, juicy Q&A from all of the amazing questions you guys have been leaving on the YouTube videos. So thank you for leaving your questions. And we are going to be talking about all things pricing and insurance problems we've had. Even how much has Stephanie personally made from Serene Clean over the 6 years? That's right. I am going to tell you the number. I went and calculated it to the exact dollar. So if you are interested in knowing how much money I've made, keep watching. Okay, we're going to get cracking. Stephanie, entrepreneur vlog on a reel about insurance. Can you share things that have happened where you said this, meaning instances that I am very happy that we had insurance? Most of them have been workers' comp related. We have had many workers' comp claims where if we were not properly insured, it would have been quite a nightmare because of medical costs related to the cleaning technicians that got hurt. I had an employee very early on roll a vehicle and she had extensive medical expenses. Additionally, her vehicle insurance and my insurance kind of battled it out over who was going to cover the vehicle loss claim and things like that. So that was really great that we had insurance. Other than that, I've had several, weirdly enough, accidental needle pricks from diabetic needles at the really big military job that we did a few years ago because all of the refugees that were at this military base, they did not have proper sharps disposal containers in the barracks that they were having them stay at. So that meant that the needles were just getting thrown into the garbage, which then my cleaning staff were emptying garbages. And I think I had 3 total accidental needle pricks. So that meant immediate, they had to go get blood pathogen testing, I was so mad. Oh, I could have lit a fire. I was so angry because it was a problem that kept happening and they wouldn't do anything about it. And so super duper frustrating. They did not give a shit about our cleaners. That's for sure. Oh yeah. Very frustrating because that's a safety issue for sure. So they were all okay, but they did end up getting the testing. I also had a cleaner slice her hand open on a razor blade that was in a drain at also said job. And we had to do a workers' comp claim on that. I've had cleaners fall. So lots of like injury related stuff for workers' comp claims. So I'm very grateful that we had proper insurance for that. Actually, we have only in 6 years done one insurance claim because of us breaking things. And we've broken a lot more than one thing. However, typically it's not going to be worth it unless it's a really big thing that you break. And in our instance, we were at a very luxury home, if you will, and the cleaner was dusting something behind their glass stovetop, and it was like a decorative stone. I don't know, rich people, right? And so it fell onto the glass stovetop and shattered it. So that was a very expensive glass stovetop to replace. So we did end up doing an insurance claim because our deductible, I believe, was like $500. Usually when we break things, we just pay for them outright because it's not going to make sense to have an insurance claim, which is potentially going to increase your premiums, all of that jazz. How boring, right? Is insurance not the most boring thing ever, but so important? We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on insurance at Serene Clean, and mostly because of workers' comp, right? General liability, of course, too. And especially depending on what kind of products your cleaners use, if they were to use the wrong thing on, say, like hardwood floors or dump something on carpet, and you have to replace things like that or replace appliances or appliance panels, that's where things get really, really expensive. So we want to be properly insured. So great question, Stephanie. Hopefully that answered it for you. On to the next. Shonda said, newbie here, do you have information on how to price your service? And she asked that on episode 24, which was why I'm cutting a $56K service for my cleaning business. So that was when I was talking about cutting Airbnbs and vacation rentals from our services, or at least not offering it to anybody new. So How to price your service. So if you are a business, meaning you're licensed, you're registered, and you are insured, the going rate countrywide, if I could speak, tongue twister there, at a minimum 40 per man hour. I would suggest 45 per man hour, and anywhere from 45 to 65 on the high end is not unusual, regardless if you're charging flat rate or hourly. That's what it's probably going to work out to. We are currently at 55 per man hour. When I started 6 years ago at 30 per man hour. I should have started higher because now I've had to do tons of price increases over the years, which is very painful. And actually, we just did a price increase. It's going into effect tomorrow. So all of our clients who were at 45 per man hour that have been grandfathered in, and some of these clients we've had for years, they are now going to be at 55 per man hour. And I don't think we lost. Gosh, we did over 100 pricing, I think 100 or more. April, correct me, my payroll manager. She's the one who does all of that stuff. How many did we do? And I don't think anybody dropped. We had nobody drop. We had some people, I think, drop frequency, meaning if they were every 2 weeks, they might have gone to monthly. But yeah, that's fantastic, right? So Shonda, I would suggest at a minimum, if you plan to have staff members, 40, 45 so that you can cover your expenses. I think that you should do some practice cleans first and charge first times on an hourly rate until you understand your production rates. Otherwise, you're going to lose your ass. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who completely underprice on first time cleans, and they're just sitting there kicking themselves, cleaning themselves ragged because they did not price correctly. First time cleans take forever. All right. You're going to be real slow because these places are dirty. They haven't been cleaned, and you're probably kind of slow too. I'm a slow cleaner. I'm not fast, but that's because we really sell on quality and very detail oriented cleaning. So I would say do your first times hourly. And then if you wanted to do maintenance cleans at hourly again, until you can always change, guys. Remember, you can always change how you do pricing. In the beginning, I think it's really, really useful until you can see how fast you clean, start calculating that data, tracking. Write down, how big was the space? Did you clean all of it? How long did it take you in man hours? Okay, that's your production rate. And start collecting that data based on different types of houses, how many pets they have, how many kids they have, how clean were they, how cluttered is it? All of these things make a difference. And until you know this, I just think that flat rate is probably you're going to struggle with. Again, that first 6 months, this is experiment time for pricing. Let's try to figure this out, how fast you clean, all of that good stuff. So hopefully that helps, Shonda. Okay. Anastasia, our future podcast guest, lovely lady. I've been asking my longtime clients to do a Google review for us for the past month, and I have been shocked that only half of them have bothered to do it. I've sent them a reminder every week since. It's been so frustrating. Any tips on how to get them to actually do it? Yeah, some people just don't want to leave Google reviews, right? So what you can do, if it's coming from you in the office, Anastasia, I don't know if you are doing the cleanings completely or if you have staff members. I can't remember right now. But regardless, get yourself a little card printed off that says the cleaner is going to get a bonus if you mention them by name in a review, and have a QR code on the actual card that you leave behind with your checklist or on the kitchen table, and explains how. If the client is there, we literally will say to them, hey, can you leave that review right now? I know you'd mentioned you were going to do that. Do you need help? And we will run through how to do it on Google My Business with them right there on their phone. We literally walk through them on their phone with it. So a lot of times they just need that nudging. I would say if you're asking over text or over email and you've already done it multiple times, it's probably not going to work out. So I would think that doing it in the field is going to be more advantageous. Doing leave behinds, it also is on our checklist. We also, in our newsletter every month, that I have it linked at the bottom of the newsletter, we get a review or two every single month from longtime clients who they read the newsletter and then they're prompted there. So if you do not incentivize your cleaners, that can really help clients want to leave reviews. So because they feel like they're helping their cleaners out, and your cleaners are much more likely to ask for them when you give them money for it. So we pay our cleaners $5 per Google or Facebook review too that mentions them by name in a positive way, of course. So give that a try. Let me know if that helps. Some people they don't want to do it. You move on, you keep asking, ask for video reviews, everything that you can do there will hopefully help you. Okay. Marissa asked on episode 18 of the last Q&A, "Hi there. Thank you so much for your insightful information you share. It's really helping me keep my head on while I rebuild my business and structure things." Wonderful, Marissa. I'm so happy to hear this has been helpful. "I wanted to ask, you mentioned you charge $55 per man hour. Is that across the board? Deep clean and reoccurring cleans are that same rate, or do you charge different based on the types of cleanings? Thank you in advance." So we charge across the board $55 per man hour for deep cleanings, for maintenance cleans, everything. Other companies I have seen do a higher rate for the first times. And I actually did bring this up to my management team probably about a month ago of what we thought about that. And for us, we thought it may be useful to, we could do it for move out cleans because of the additional supplies that it takes. It's just not something that we've implemented. You certainly can do that. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. But we just haven't done that yet. It's more just simplification, I suppose, to not have a bunch of different rates that we're charging. And honestly, we're kind of at the top of our range in our area. I personally feel that that would be pushing it if we asked even more for a higher rate. So sorry, they're like cutting down, like my neighbor's cutting a tree down right next to me. Of course he picked Monday afternoon when I'm recording. Does he not know what I do on Monday afternoons? Whatever. So if you hear that, I'm sorry, guys. So Marissa, I hope that helps you. You certainly can, especially if you're on the lower range of things, you can do that. And either you can pay your cleaners more. That's where it gets messy for us, because right now we don't, not all cleaners have access to doing first time. So we don't want to be seen as unfair. So it just feels like it gets a little messy there. Maybe someday in the future we try it. Just don't currently do it. It's not a bad idea though, if you want to give it a go. Okay. Jay Morgan asks on episode 21 with Mark about commercial. "I'm only 20 minutes in, but how do you put a bid in or ask if they're looking for a cleaning service if they haven't advertised looking for one?" So most people aren't asking for them. We are seeking them out. And this is where, I talked about the Dream 100 process, the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Go read that, because it really is, you are proactively reaching out to them so that when they are ready to make a change, you are top of mind. So this is going to be in the form of cold calling, cold emailing, and doing drop-offs. You can also do direct mail, but I would suggest being very selective and not just doing blanket direct mail. I would make your Dream 100 list, which is the 100 clients or 100 prospective clients for commercial that would really make a difference in our kind of your ideal account that you want. And you send them kind of bulky mail. So that could be interactive mail, the little like goo that you can clean your keyboards off. You could do that with a mailer. You could do a little spray bottle, anything cleaning related that they could like play with. It's going to really stick in their mind. Send that with your sales sheet as opposed to just like a postcard. We do drop off. So that's going to be buying donuts and going and dropping them off. So we're staying top of mind. Again, most people are not ready to make a change when you stop by. Commercial is a much longer sales process. And the point is that when they are ready to make a change and they are pissed off about their current provider, or they're ready to actually hire out because maybe they have a janitor, maybe their office staff are doing it and they're finally ready. The point is that they think of you. They think, who is that friendly redheaded lady with donuts? Maybe I should give her a call. Where's that sales sheet again? Literally has happened for us. I got a lot of our commercial by doing this during COVID, especially cold calling, cold emailing. And once COVID was done, drop-offs were very, very useful. So definitely there's a process to that. And I think I'd like to kind of do a whole video on that, like in detail, to give you guys examples, but that's how you do it. We're not waiting necessarily for people to come to us. If we're in the mood to get commercial, we are going to be seeking them out. At this point, we don't really have to do that. They come to us because of our extensive online branding and marketing and Google reviews, because they're just Googling just like anybody else and they're seeing all of our Google reviews. So that is how we are getting all of our commercial pretty much now. But if you do not have that ability yet, this is what you need to be doing, is these types of things. Okay. Chick Sue asked on episode 8, Stephanie, if 150 square feet per man hour is what it takes for a deep clean and you send out 2 cleaners for the job, would you then factor it in as 300 square foot per hour and then calculate the timing and pricing that way? It's the same exact thing. So I personally like to do man hours so that it's across the board universal, because I know what that means. If I start doing it as 300 square foot per hour, then I may confuse myself in the future as to what I'm referencing. If we keep our true north of man hours or labor hours, there's no confusion as to what we're talking about. So that if I send one cleaner or two cleaners for an 8 man-hour job, that's either 8 clock hours or 4 clock hours with 2 people. It makes no difference. So don't confuse yourself, I would say, because if you start using different units of measure, you're not necessarily going to be sure what you're talking about. So are you talking about a team? Are you talking about one cleaner? So that's why I prefer just to always use the same thing. But yeah, that is the exact same thing. So just make sure you know what you're talking about, so that 3 months from now when they book and you're like, crap, how much was that? Like, was I talking about a team? Was I talking about one cleaner? If you only exclusively run teams, I suppose you could definitely do it that way. But yeah, I just don't want you to confuse yourself. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is from my very first Zen Maid talk, actually, my Maid Summit talk. How this cleaning business owner generated $800,000 per year in just 2 years. Ah, the memories. I'm such a little girl in that. I feel so young when I go and watch that, and I just speak so terribly. Not that I'm the best at all now, but every other word is it's so annoying. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying with the ums. So Susan asks, I really appreciate all the real information you are putting out for us. Thank you. That's what I try to do, Susan. I do have a question that I'm hoping you can answer. There's a long, crazy story behind what I'm about to talk about, but I'm going to just ask the question. I was given 8 residential houses to clean, but after listening to you and others, I realized the houses are not paying near the price they should. I don't know why, but the person who gave me these houses charged the same amount for a 4,000 plus square foot home, $125, that takes me 6 hours, to a 2,000 square foot home that takes me 3 to 4 hours. I work very hard. I'm very detailed. They all tell me I clean better than she did. I know I need to raise the price. How would I go about that? What would you do? Thank you so much. Yeah, you do need to raise the price. And what other cleaners charge is of no consequence, especially if they're all giving you this positive feedback that you do better work. They should assume that you're going to be more expensive than her. It just makes logical sense. And she was clearly undercharging, and she had no pricing system. If you're telling me that a 4,000 square foot house is priced as the same as a 2,000, she was pulling numbers out of her ass. Totally had no idea what she was doing, right? Because that would never in a million years fly. And oh my gosh, that's so cheap. It's not enough money, because if we're talking about a 4,000 square foot house, and it's $125, dollars. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yeah. So 30, I'm doing math here. So it takes you 6 hours. Okay. So if I divided 125 divided by 6, you're making $20 per hour there. All right. That is like super duper low. I don't know if you're an individual cleaner or if you're trying to go the company route, but if you are charging $20 an hour, you could never offboard that to anybody and actually make any money, pay your taxes, be insured, all of that stuff. So all of that said, you need to raise prices. I know you need to raise prices. The client knows you need to raise prices. They're just not going to say anything, of course. So how do you go about it? You just let them know, hey, this in 2 months, we like to give them at least 2 months notice, at least a month, if not 2, because if they're a monthly client, then we want to give them a good heads up of, hey, at your next cleaning, the price is going to be this. Let me know if any changes need to be made. I know that you've been really pleased with my work. Let me know if any adjustments need to be made. Short, simple, sweet. You would be shocked by how few people will drop. We're talking about 8 clients, right? And think about the opportunity cost. By you spending all of that time making shit for money, that means you're not making in that same amount of time double. You could literally be making so much more money. So think about that. You are costing yourself so much by not raising these prices. If you're scared, do 2 at a time. Okay. I talked earlier of how we did a bunch of price increases. This is the first time we've done like blanket across the board, because we've always been so scared that everybody's going to drop. So we've done it in batches. So, that could be 10, 20 clients at a time. For you, it could be 2. Do 2 next week, then stagger it so that if you do lose 1 or 2, you could adjust and fill those spots. It's not like this scary thing. So I would say don't do what we just did if this is the first time you've ever done a price increase, we are very confident in the fact that we can fill spots at a higher price, and proof's in the pudding. We've had like nobody drop off. So there we go. You will be surprised if you are doing this great work. They will recognize that and have no problem. So do your price increase. I would say, gosh, how much? Well, how much are you wanting to make? When it comes to how drastic of a price increase we need to make, we try to only do like $5 per hour that it takes at a time. That's the biggest jump that we've ever done, unless it really, really, really doesn't make sense and we're making way too little, say on a commercial account. Then we'll do a big jump because it does not make any sense. They need to drop immediately, or they need to go like double in price if we've priced incorrectly. So I would do no more than $5 an hour. That's what I've historically done, and people don't gripe. I've seen people do too big of increases on residential or do them all at the same time, and then they freak out because you may not have a marketing or sales system in place to be bringing in new clients. Depending on your situation, everybody's different. So that is how I would handle that. You clean great, Susan, so you need to be getting them prices up. All right, just because people are giving us clients doesn't mean that they're necessarily ideal. These ones might be, and you just don't know because you haven't asked for what you actually should be charging. Okie dokie. On episode 18, DB6809 said, I have digested so much material and made the decision to go more of the business route. I'm currently using my personal number as the business line, which was perhaps the wrong idea. The moment it hit Google, everything went south. Did you use an auto receptionist when you first started to help manage calls / screen out spam calls? Yes, we do not want our personal number out there for a lot of reasons. The spam, and your own sanity and separating things so that you're not getting business stuff to your personal phone. It's just a mess. And truly the biggest thing is safety. We do not want everybody having your personal phone. What if you have a crazy client? What if you just have an asshole client? You don't want them blowing you up and you just have no peace, right? And then from a professional standpoint, it's just so much more professional to have a business line and just have that separation. So I used Google Voice in the beginning for probably the first year before I could afford a phone system. And so was it the best? No, but it was free. So people, when they would call in, would get this Google Voice thing. Looking back, I wish I would have just forked up the money and paid for something else, because that still wasn't the most professional, but it's what I knew at the time. So there are a ton of phone systems out there that you can get the app on your phone and actually make calls from your business line from your cell phone. So we've used one called Clarity Voice pretty much for now 5 years. I am in the market for other ones, but it doesn't seem like any of them really are fantastic, honestly. So if anybody has had a really good experience with a great phone system, let me know, because, I know there's Grasshopper, there's all these different ones. So we're definitely in the market for that, but it's going to be a big change, and we're very slow to change softwares now because we've been burned. But if you are smaller and can handle quick change like that, and it's not going to affect things terribly, I would suggest experiment, really read the reviews, go to like Capterra and places like that to read about your softwares and see what user experiences are like, as well as what is customer service like, because the sales department is always going to be the best and most communicative and on the ball department in the whole company whenever you work with a software. And then if they're not the best, their customer service is going to suck. So when you do have to call them, that's why I switched from QuickBooks to Gusto for our payroll software. We still use QuickBooks for our bookkeeping, but I would just, anytime something went wrong with the payroll side and I was talking to somebody who clearly didn't know what the hell they were doing, they were just looking at a book and shuffling through things, trying to get me off the phone. I was sick of it. So I switched to Gusto, and I've been so happy with their customer service. I know not everybody likes Gusto, but I've had a 99% positive experience with them over the years. So right there, you just need to experiment. But yeah, you gotta get a business line as soon as possible. So definitely get on that. Okay. And the question you guys have all been waiting for is, Stephanie, Entrepreneur Vlog, asks on my quality control system video. Oh, you guys are asking stuff on old videos too. Can you share with us how much you personally made as the owner of the company? first and foremost, hit that subscribe for me being so honest with you guys. All right. I think I deserve a like. Wouldn't you say? Hit that like, hit that subscribe, because most people wouldn't tell you this stuff. So we have been in business tomorrow is April 1st when I'm recording this, for 6 years. That's our 6-year anniversary. In 6 years, the total revenue of the business has been $6,435,588. This is why we bookkeep, guys, so I can easily pull that number. In those 6 years, from both ways that I pay myself. So I pay myself on a salary, and I also pay myself in owner's draws or profit draws. You will hear them called in different ways. I paid myself in the early days as a cleaner, meaning whatever I would have paid a cleaner, I would pay myself when I was doing cleanings, as well as a percentage as the owner, because I follow the profit first model of money management. And that worked really well. So everybody who thinks like, oh, you don't make any money in the beginning, you just have to clean and not make any money. Well, how do you expect to be able to pay somebody else if you're not paying yourself? So just pay yourself what you would pay a cleaner. All right. We don't need to spend a bunch of money. We can be creative. There's a lot of free things that we can do in order to build our business. Stop not paying yourself, guys. All right. I know that some people will definitely tell you you need to sacrifice and not pay yourself. And maybe some of you have a bunch of savings and are able to do that, so that because you want to have a virtual assistant, or you want to have administrative help, or you don't want to do any of the cleanings. Like, there's all of these things that cost money. I was willing to do the cleanings, and I was charging what I needed to charge, even at $30 an hour. Okay, I can pay $12 an hour. So whether that's going to a cleaner or it's going to Stephanie, it doesn't make a difference. So then I was able to actually, be making money, even a small amount. And it just got me in the habit of, I've paid myself from day one. From the very first cleaning, I have paid myself, whether that be both as a cleaner and my little section of owners pay, or just the owners pay once I started getting cleaners. But you can absolutely pay yourself, guys. So I know other people say don't do that. Pay yourself. Oh my gosh. Okay. Spiel over. Over the 2 ways that I have paid myself in 6 years, I have made $797,237. So just shy of $800,000. It'll be $800,000 obviously this next month. And that is before taxes. So keep that in mind. So percentage wise, I have paid myself 12% of total revenue over 6 years. And a couple other things I want to mention is that the business pays for my health insurance. It pays my health insurance premium. It pays for my cell phone. It paid for my gas while I was doing cleanings. It will be paying for my internet at home since I work from home. I just realized I could be doing that. My accountant was like, yeah, like the business should be paying for your internet. When I was cleaning, I mentioned that I was paying myself whatever I would have paid a cleaner. I also get, we have a 401k, so the business pays for my 401k match. So yeah, there's a bunch of other perks that are expenses, but aren't necessarily in the form of a paycheck, but they are benefits and perks that the business allows. The business also pays some of my taxes. I pay my own payroll taxes. So on the paycheck, I pay my payroll taxes. But then when it comes to like any self-employment tax on the owner's draws, the business is going to pay for that. So it is really like a lot more than just this big number. So I think that's pretty good, right? I don't know. I feel kind of vulnerable sharing this, but I want you guys to know. And as a reminder, I had a really, really big job a few years ago. It was that big one I mentioned earlier. And that was like $1 million job. So okay, 12% of $1 million or 14% of $1 million or whatever it was at the time, that's a lot of money. So over time, again, profit first, you're going to be paying yourself a percentage of revenue. So it has gone as low as 6% of revenue and as high as I think 14% of revenue. I have chosen to have a lot of managers. I have 4 full-time managers in some flavor, and that is a lot of overhead. So Katie, Crystal, April, and now Hannah, who's our quality controller, you're going to meet all of them. They have all agreed to do podcast episodes, which is really exciting. So we can talk about all of them and all of their roles. And that's going to be great. I'm so excited to deep dive into each of their roles and journeys of Serene Clean over the past 6 years. But I have chosen to, I guess, trade money for time freedom and being able to live remotely. Again, you guys know I live a 20-hour drive darn near from my business. I have a lot of freedom. So I could have paid myself more if I was willing to continue working full time in the business. And so I have traded that by having more overhead in the form of managers. And that is my personal choice. And I think that we just have to keep in mind that we are all wanting different things. Obviously, we all want money, but we are all wanting different things from our business and different, I guess, ratios of time versus money freedom. And I would argue, like, I'm happy. I got both now. I have both. And that's a very rare thing. It's not what I had in the beginning, of course. I had not much time. I didn't have any time. I was working my ass off. And now here we are. And, yeah, it's kind of crazy to even think of that number. It's freaking wild to think about, especially because I started this at 22, just going on 23, and I'm 28 years old now. And so, I don't know if that's a lot of money to other people. It is to me. I remember graduating high school and thinking if I could make 40 grand a year, I would be set for life. I couldn't possibly ever want anything more than that. And so it's kind of wild now to think about what it's brought in for me. And I feel very blessed, and I've worked very hard for it. And I feel like I'm like justifying myself because I know my cleaners are going to be listening to this and they're going to hear that number. But I just, at the end of the day, business owners are rewarded because they took risks that others were not willing to take. And if others want the potential reward of what we get as business owners, they must go and take those risks as well. So that's my 2 cents on that. So obviously, you guys, I'm preaching to the choir. I don't need to tell you that you deserve to get paid a lot of money. And it can be worth a lot of the sacrifice that was made in the beginning if we can just push through. So that's what I have to say. I've made bank. We're here at Filthy Rich Cleaners, guys, and we're only 6 years into business. So that number is only going to grow over the years, which is awesome. It's amazing. And, I can do a lot of cool stuff because I make good money. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully this Q&A was helpful, was interesting. I'm going to keep doing these at least once a month. So keep dropping your questions down in the comments below. And I will keep pulling from them. I'm going to try to get to everything that I can find in the YouTube comments. So hopefully this is helpful, guys. And I'll see you in the next episode of Filthy Rich Cleaners. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, drop a comment below. See you next time, guys. Bye.